So today is Tuesday, May 30th. The readings for today are Acts 21 and John 16. And so I'll read the highlighted parts from both of those here. So Acts 21. This is the man who is teaching men everywhere against the people and the law in this place. Moreover, he also brought Greeks into the temple, and he has defiled this holy place. So here they're talking about Paul. And they seized Paul and dragged him out of the temple, and at once the gates were shut. And as they were trying to kill him, word came to the tribune of the cohort. This is like the leader of the Roman army in that area, that all Jerusalem was in confusion. He at once took soldiers and centurions and ran down to them. And when they saw the tribune and the soldiers, they stopped beating Paul. Okay. John, the hour is coming when whoever kills you will think, this is Jesus talking. The hour is coming when whoever kills you will think he is offering service to God. This is a direct, obvious, there's a correlation with what just happened with Paul. And they will do this because they have not known the Father nor me. I did not say these things to you from the beginning because I was with you, but now I am going to him who sent me. It is to your advantage that I go away, for if I do not go away, the counselor will not come to you. But if I do go, I will send him to you. And when he comes, he will convince the world concerning sin and righteousness and judgment. Concerning sin, because they do not believe in me. Concerning righteousness, because I go to the Father, and you will see me no more. Concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. Okay, so in these passages, Paul is the representation of the new ego in light of the revelation of the ontological ground of the personality. The Father creates freedom from his absence and transformation in his wrathful presence. So it is this latter attribute which is the domain of God alone. And in the context of this story is something that the old ego, represented by the Jewish tribunal, take up on their own through the beating of Paul. That is the new ego. So there's a conflict in Acts over the new and the old ego. Neither does the old ego know the ontological ground of the person, that is, the symbolic Christ, who in his presence seizes the opportunity for freedom offered by the absence of the Father, and who through the gradual diffusion into the body enlivens the new ego in and through the suffering of transformation. So the ontological ground, that is, Jesus comments in the gospel reading, that this process occurs in his absence, that is, when the ground has been revealed and is beginning to ascend to a higher plane. That is, when the double inversion that we've talked about takes place, and the personality is diffused into the individual, becoming the spirit of freedom, and ascends to higher things, which is the logical end of the religious being, towards whom the ego transformed seeks to be made an image. So it's the descent of the spirit of freedom and the rising up of ego consciousness to a higher plane. This is written in the Bible as the words of Jesus, who says that only through the ascent of the ontological ground of personality, essentially its appearance and its disappearance, which when revealed becomes an object of which is coveted, is the spirit of freedom and comfort conferred, taking with it through purification and transformation the ego consciousness into a higher plane. So that's the ascent of Christ. So Christ comes down as the ontological ground of being, and then returns up with ego consciousness generally. He doesn't necessarily bring ego with it. He becomes the symbol of the higher ego, towards which the individual being diffused with a spirit of freedom is oriented. So this spirit of freedom and comfort, according to the text, convinces the world concerning sin, righteousness, and judgment. So it convinces the world concerning sin, concerning the ontological ground of the personality in oneself and in others, concerning the Father because his absence is the possibility of freedom, and his presence in wrath and the ground of transformation, and concerning the fate of humankind. So the relationship here is sin is, there's a conviction of sin because of the revelation of the ontological ground of the person in self and in other, a conviction regarding righteousness because of the dual aspects of the Father, which is both the presence of freedom and absence of wrath, and also, right, is the ground of transformation. And concerning judgment because to the extent that it concerns the fate of humankind. The ontological ground concerns the fate of humankind. Actually, the Spirit concerns the fate of humankind. It is this wrathful ground of transformation that is the word of the Spirit of freedom. That wrath is an aspect of God's will and not humankind's. That the wrath of the human being is being purified in and through the revelation of the ontological reality of the ground of personality, and that the human rulers of the world will be judged for the manner in which they navigate the transformation of man's wrathful will through the Spirit of freedom and the ascension of consciousness to a higher level.